the sword. He has loosed the faithful lightning of his terrible sword.
My fellow patriots, my fellow Americans, good evening. Yours truly, Professor TOTO of the Conservative College, live on October the 9th, 8 o'clock Central. Hours ago, I presented this information that I'm going to present tonight, but the audio was messed up, and it's too important not to get the information out. So before we start tonight, I do need a sound check from my audience. So if you're out there tonight watching, please give me a sound check. And we'll get started as soon. Thank you, Sister Nancy DeVette from Texas, Southeast Oklahoma, Darlene Carter, Debbie Reeve, thank you. All right, we sound good. So we're going to start over. We're going to start from scratch. Get your pens ready. Get ready to take notes, because you need to be educated about what's going on with the Gaza peace deal. We're going to answer many questions tonight, primarily what is in the deal, line by line. But then at the end of tonight's podcast, we're going to discuss where we are biblically with this peace deal. Is this the peace deal that the Bible talks about? All of that tonight, all right? So buckle your seatbelts for the next 35 to 40 minutes. Now, if you're watching and you don't have time to see the entire video, then go to my blog and you can read a lot of what I'm going to teach you tonight. Okay, so if you're not subscribed to my blog, there's the QR code, free of charge. If you get there and it says subscription, just click no thank you, and you can get the content, all right? So, for those that cannot stay the entire hour with me tonight, make sure you at least read the blog. I'm going to walk you tonight through every detail of this deal, exactly what President Trump just accomplished. If I'm not mistaken, I thought I heard Hillary Clinton say several weeks ago that if President Trump brokered a deal, she would nominate him herself for the Nobel Peace Prize. Well, we'll see, won't we? I want to teach you tonight the timeline. The timeline is very important. The strategy and the pure genius of Donald Trump, the prophetic implications, and why this demands a Nobel Peace Prize for our president. So let's get into it tonight. October the 8th and the 9th of 2025. Write it down, circle it in your calendars. One day, your children and your grandchildren will ask you where you were when Trump made the peace deal. Well, you can let them know you were listening to Professor TOTO break it all down. That is the day when Donald Trump, with the full power of the American presidency, accomplished what 5 previous presidents could not do. It's when Donald Trump did what the United Nations has failed to do for decades. What every so-called expert said was impossible to do. What was that? He got Israel and Hamas, 2 arch enemies, rivals to the highest degree, to take their hands and sign a comprehensive peace deal. Now, I want you to let that sink in for just a moment tonight. A comprehensive peace deal. Israel and Hamas sitting at the same table, face to face, in front of President Trump, signing the same document. Do you understand how many experts said this was impossible? It could not be done. Career diplomats that have spent their entire lives trying to make this happen, and they have failed. But Trump gets back in office and does this in 9 months. Nueva mess. 9 months. Now, here's what the media is not telling you. This is not just some photo op with a handshake like all the previous ones. No, this one has meat on the bones. This is not some framework for future discussion. Nope, this is real. What just happened is enforceable. It is a phased agreement with strict timelines, with metrics that you can measure, with consequences if either side violates the Trump plan. What you're looking at is Donald Trump's architecture. This is a building. This is not peace poetry. This is peace architecture. While everyone else was writing speeches about peace, Trump was building the structure for peace. Trump has used the full weight of the American presidency, and he brought both sides not to Camp David. No, why did he bring them to Mar-a-Lago? Because of the optics. Because this is signature Donald Trump. From start to finish, this will be his lasting legacy. He brought them to Mar-a-Lago, where he planned the Abraham Accords 4 years ago when he was in his first term. Mar-a-Lago is where deals get made. It's his home territory, his power base. Both sides came, both sides sat down, but more importantly, both sides signed. The first phase, done. The hostages are coming home. Israeli troops are, as we speak, pulling back. Aid will flood in, and Hamas is no longer the government of Gaza. They are being replaced with a technocratic government. Now remember, this is so very important. Phase 1 is the door opening phase. There is 3 phases to this plan. Phase 1, Phase 2, Phase 3, and you need to understand the intricate details of every part of the phase. All right? After Phase 1, in Phase 2 is when Donald Trump will build a nation. All right? So let's go through the timeline step by step so you are not confused. Okay? Hour number 1, which was on October the 8th, ceasefire. Hour number 1, ceasefire. This is to take place, by the way, Phase 1 is a 90-day plan or a 3-month plan. And every single week of this 2-year plan will be measured, monitored, enforced, and you will be able to measure this plan from your couch, from your recliner. in the first 90 days of a 2-year plan is phase 1. Week 1 is October the 8th through the 15th. That started yesterday. In the first hour of the first day, ceasefire goes into effect across every sector of Gaza. Now, this is not some kind of, we wish you would stop shooting, or please stop shooting. No. This is a signed agreement that everyone stops shooting. Full military ceasefire, backed by the United States military monitoring the ceasefire. What you're going to find in this agreement, the United States, the younger brother of the Jewish people, the tribes of Ephraim and Manasseh, are monitoring this situation. Donald Trump rules the world. Now, day 1 through 3, right now, we're in day 2. So this applies to this moment in time. The Israeli forces, once the ceasefire has begun, and it has, will begin an organized, staged withdrawal. It will not be chaotic, but as we speak, it is organized, it is happening. The first step, they will move back to their October 7th position in 2023. That's the first step. The Israeli military is not leaving. They are going back to October 7th, 2023. They are being monitored by the United States and international observers. Now, on day 3 through day 7, if you'll look at your screen, the first set of hostages are to be released. Now, this is where it gets emotional. This was Donald Trump's first priority. The first wave of living hostages, not the deceased, the living, will be released. 33 people. That number 33 is very prophetic. Wished I had time to explain it to you tonight. It's known as the eagle number, the highest of all numbers. So we have Yahweh is releasing 33 people, women, elderly, children, and the wounded. These people have been in captivity for 2 solid years. As I speak to you tonight, families are already being reunited. We give Yahweh the glory and President Trump the credit. Yahweh always uses a man to do his work. After that has happened, on day 7, when that day comes, there must be a list delivered, a verified list of all remaining hostages. There will be remaining hostages, the deceased and the living. But a list must be presented of everyone in their hostage care. No more games, no more we're not sure. There must be full transparency or President Trump will pull the plug on the entire deal. What does that mean for Hamas? Total annihilation. Donald Trump told them, we will totally annihilate you from the face of the earth if you do not stick to this plan. Now, I want you to pause for a moment. Think about something. Donald Trump's first goal was 33 hostages, non-negotiable. American families, Israeli families. Trump made it his first priority. All right, let's proceed. Now, we're going to move into the next segment, which is week 2 through week number 4. All right, that will begin October the 16th through November the 8th. After the hostage situation, after we receive the verifiable list of who's left, the floodgates will swing wide open for Gaza. Humanitarian corridors will flood. 500 aid trucks will enter Gaza every day. 500. Food, medicine, fuel, building supplies. USAID is coordinating all of this. The UN is monitoring it. This is not a trickle of aid. This is a flood of aid directed by the Trump administration. Right after those 500 trucks enter every day, then we have the prisoner exchange. 300 Palestinian prisoners will be released in a good faith gesture by President Trump. Hamas will then know that President Trump is serious about following through with this plan. Now, after that is where this plan really starts taking shape, okay? Right after the prisoner release, immediately Hamas must surrender their governance. And that government will be replaced with what's being called the TGC, the Technocratic Governance Council. They will be sworn into office, 15 people. Now, these are not Hamas members. They're not allowed to have anything to do with Hamas. This is engineers, doctors, educators, people that know how to run a society rather than just how to shoot rockets. And get this, that temporary government will be hand-picked by Donald John Trump's State Department and vetted by the State Department. So as soon as we release the 300 prisoners, a new government is sworn in, Hamas is over, 15 people will be the temporary government, and they will be picked by Donald John Trump's State Department. At the same time, simultaneously, that we get the TGC, there will be another governing board called the Board of Peace. It will activate immediately. The United States will lead that board along with Egypt, Jordan, the UAE, Saudi Arabia, and this board will meet every single week in the White House Situation Room under the direct control of President Trump. This is not some kind of set it and forget it diplomacy. This will be micromanaged. This is active presidential management. So you will have the TGC over there in Gaza, but at the White House will be the Peace Board, and they will meet every single week from all the nations of the world under President Trump. Now, let's go to week number 5 through week number 12. That will begin November the 9th and continue through January the 6th of 2026. At that moment, all remaining hostages on November the 9th are required to come home. Every single one, verified, reunited with their families, and they will all be released on the White House lawn into the care of President Donald Trump. After that, now there will be a full Israeli military withdrawal completely, and they will move to monitored border positions. They will no longer be where they were on October the 7th. They will go even further back and be fully monitored by international monitors. They will then transition to the United States, the oversight of that border. Now, the body that will take over the border will be known as the ISF, the International Stabilization Force. 500 monitors from 12 different nations. There's that number 12. And they will be controlled by the Pentagon. They will be on the ground. They will be watching, reporting directly to the White House. Also, at this time, at the end of the 90 days, because we're getting to the end now of phase 1, there must be a complete infrastructure assessment given to the White House. Every building, every road, every hospital, every school will be cataloged by the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. All damage will be assessed, and a blueprint for reconstruction must be finalized, not started, finalized. And then it must be certified before phase 2 can begin. Phase 1, in 90 days, unheard of. Only Donald Trump could make this happen. 90 days to go from active warfare to certified readiness for reconstruction. Unheard of. The experts said that would take years. They said years of negotiation just to get a ceasefire. Donald Trump will do it in 3 months. Now, what is phase 1? It just stops the bleeding. Now surgery must be performed. That is called phase 2. All right? This is where Donald Trump will begin to perform surgery in phase 2. A total transformation of a madman's land. All right? This will go month 4 through month 6. January through March 2026. One word: demilitarization. That's the focus of those 3 months. January, February, and March. Month 4 through 6. Every tunnel under Gaza must be filled with concrete. The United States military's technology will be used. They will use ground-penetrating radar. They will map every single meter under Gaza. Egyptian engineers, ISF engineers, U.S. Army Corps of Engineers will be filling those tunnels with concrete. You want to know why? Because you can't build a future on top of a weapon smuggling network. That is 3 months of filling tunnels and destroying weapons network. What comes after the tunnels are filled? Look right there and you'll see a weapon buyback program. Now, this is where Donald Trump's genius really shines. He will not confiscate their weapons by force. He will use the language they will be desperate for: money. $5,000 if you bring a heavy weapon and turn it in. Heavy weapon, $5,000, yours. $500 for every rifle to a people desperate for money. Do you know what happens? You know why this works? Because the guys that were fighting yesterday start lining up to trade their weapons in for money. Because they finally see a future. They see an economy coming They see jobs on the horizon. And then, right after that, what's next in this time period? Trade school. 10,000 former military will be enrolled in trade schools funded by USAID. They will go to construction school, electrical school, medical technology. You're taking fighters and turning them into builders. What's next? Hamas military wing will be dissolved by presidential decree. The senior commanders of Hamas will get two choices: exile to Qatar, or stay and live a civilian life under United States monitoring. No more middle ground. You're either a civilian or you're gone. President Trump will eliminate terrorists and convert them. Now, month 7 through 12, month 7 through 12 all the way to 18, April 2026 through March 2027, 8 months, security transfer. The full ISF, and remember, we had 500 ISF monitors, now 5,000 peacekeepers. From where? The United Arab Emirates, Egypt, Jordan, Morocco, Indonesia, European nations, all led by the United States. We go from 500 monitors to 5,000. And then after that, 3,000 Gaza residents will be vetted by the State Department and trained as local police by U.S. contractors. Not a militia, not Hamas enforcers, but police. Modern policing, American-style law enforcement training. Then border technology will get installed. U.S. technology, biometric checkpoints, drone surveillance, AI monitored crossings. If you cross Israel or Egypt, AI will know who you are. If you cross the border, the Pentagon will know all about it. No more smuggling, no more infiltration. Why? Because Donald Trump has orchestrated something. A regional security pact is in this deal between Israel, the new Gaza Authority, and Egypt. If there is a violation of anyone crossing those borders, all three nations together will respond. But here's where it gets really interesting. Month 7 through 18, Reconstruction surge. At that moment, the Special Economic Zone will become operational under U.S. oversight. And what's the first thing Trump plans to build? The Gaza City port, reopened by the U.S. Navy Corps of Engineers for commercial shipping. What does that mean? Gaza is back in business. Now, how is that going to happen? My friend, it is already paid for by $50 billion. Saudi Arabia has already given $15 billion. The UAE, $12 billion. The United States, $10 billion. Europe, $8 billion. And private investment, $5 billion. That's $50 billion that is now currently in an account waiting to rebuild Gaza under the Special Economic Zone. This is not money that is pledged. This is committed capital that's already sitting in the U.S. Treasury Department. What will that $50 billion do? It will create 100,000 jobs. Not hoped for, created. Housing, construction, hospital rebuilding, school renovation, utility modernization, all under U.S. control. And then energy independence. Gaza has been approved by President Trump for a natural gas field. They will begin exporting energy. Water crisis solved. As I speak to you, desalination plants are under construction. Sewage treatment facilities will become operational. Clean water for 2 million people. Do you understand what President Trump has done here? He's created hope for a hopeless people. He's done more than just end a war. He is an architecture. He built an economy after ending a war. Now, let me show you the beauty of what comes next. After all of this, now sovereignty becomes available. Okay? In month 13 through 18, a new judicial system in month 13, a new judicial system will be established by the United States State Department, independent courts, anti-corruption tribunals trained by American judges. There will then be a free press. Human rights will begin monitoring, and municipal elections will happen under U.S. observations. There will be 12 districts in Gaza, like the 12 tribes, if you will. People will start voting for their local councils, and then the real vote will take place. Education will be funded by U.S. grants. There will be new curriculum that is not Jew-hating curriculum. No more teaching kindergartners to hate the Jewish people. 500 new teachers will be trained by American educators. And then Gaza will vote for its own government. We will say goodbye. They will vote in a parliament. The people will choose their representatives. Gaza Authority will then apply for observer status in the United Nations, and the United States will sponsor them. And then phase 3. What is phase 3? Phase 3 is wonderful. That is when Donald Trump will make a speech from the Oval Office in 24 months in the year 2027, declaring peace and safety has been accomplished within 2 years. What a plan. What a plan. Now, I want to talk about the Nobel Peace Prize for just a moment to see if Trump receives it. Let's compare Donald Trump to those that have received the Nobel Peace Prize. Jimmy Carter received it because of the Camp David Accords. However, it took Jimmy Carter his entire presidency to make that happen. Donald Trump did it in 9 months. Yasser Arafat, Yitzhak Rabin, Shimon Peres, they won in 1994. They won the prize for the Oslo Accords. What did the Oslo Accords produce? Nada. Nothing. Barack Obama, in the year 2009, received the Nobel Peace Prize, and I quote, for extraordinary effort to strengthen international diplomacy and cooperation between people. In other words, for nothing. All right, let's move on. Al Gore, 2007, he presented a PowerPoint presentation about global climate change and won a Nobel Peace Prize. I'll repeat that, a PowerPoint presentation. Here's what Donald Trump has accomplished that no other Nobel Peace Prize winner has ever matched. The first ceasefire in 2 years of brutal warfare, with both sides signing a certifiable document backed by the United States, hostages coming home, families being reunited on the White House lawn. Reconstruction is already funded, not promised, funded. $50 billion are already committed for peace, with a timeline-driven plan. Every phase is measurable. Enforcement is built in. The region has already bought in. The Arab nations have already invested financially and politically because America is great again. America is leading again. So I have a question tonight for the Nobel Committee. If you do not award this to Donald Trump, what is your standard? Because if brokering an actual enforceable peace agreement between two mortal enemies is not your standard, then you must confess to the whole world that the Nobel Peace Prize is not about peace, but politics. The global elite would rather see the world burn down than to give Donald Trump the credit that he deserves. But you know what? History will give him the credit. Now, I want to show you the Donald Trump genius, what caused this to happen. Number one, let's talk about it. His relationship with Israel. Israel trusts that Donald Trump is in their corner. Therefore, when Donald Trump told them to back down, they understood that he was their friend. That was the first lever that Donald Trump pulled. The second lever was a total annihilation of Hamas. President Trump made it crystal clear on this second lever that he would annihilate them and the United Nations would not rescue them. He promised them there would be no more pressure on Israel if they did not sign this deal. They would be wiped off the face of the earth. The third lever that Donald Trump pulled was the Abraham Accords. In his first term, he had already built relationships with the UAE, with Bahrain, with Morocco, with Saudi Arabia. Those were built in his first term under the Abraham Accords. And he used that lever. He made a phone call. He turned them into regional powerhouses. He elevated their global standing. So when he said, hey, I need $15 billion, they said, where do we wire it, Mr. President? Lever number 4. $50 billion. Lever number 5, timeline enforcement. Donald Trump knows that bureaucracy kills deals. So he imposed hard deadlines backed by presidential authority. 90 days for phase 1, 24 months for phase 2. Miss a deadline, and U.S. sanctions will trigger automatically by executive order on any party involved. No extensions, no excuses, no diplomatic double talk. That's why he succeeded and it worked. Now, what could go wrong? There's a few risks that we need to talk about tonight. The plan is not perfect. I'll do an analysis for you real quick. Are there risks? Absolutely. Iran could sabotage the whole thing. Tehran could fund spoilers to undermine this deal. But President Trump has the CIA, the NSA, and the Pentagon watching every move from Iran. Rogue Hamas cells might reject the agreement and launch attacks. Corruption could divert aid money before it reaches workers. But the Treasury Department is overseeing those funds. Israeli hardliners, settlers, military factions, they might violate the ceasefire. But President Trump has Benjamin Netanyahu's personal commitment. The Palestinian Authority in the West Bank might try to undermine Gaza's success out of jealousy. But Trump is already working that angle diplomatically. Here's the difference. Donald Trump anticipated all of this, and he has the presidential power to counter it. Now, here's the bottom line. President Donald Trump just accomplished what 5 previous presidents said could not be done. He used the full power of the American presidency to draft a peace-structured plan with Israel and Hamas, and it is signed. Moments ago, the Knesset in Israel agreed to these terms. He established a presidential enforcement timeline with teeth. He built a U.S.-led coalition of nations to guarantee success. I celebrate this peace agreement. Every bit of it is an achievement. It's historic. It's brilliant. It's the kind of leadership America has been starving for. I celebrate the peace, but I can celebrate peace and watch prophecy at the same time. So if you would allow me tonight just a moment to switch hats from Professor Toto to Pastor Vaughn, I would like to speak to you tonight about what this means prophetically from the word of Yahweh. We will celebrate the peace, but we will stay awake spiritually. We will praise the achievement, but keep our eyes focused. The world that we're living in right now is a different world than it was yesterday. All right? The book of 1 Thessalonians, chapter 5, verse 3. For when they shall say, peace and safety, then sudden destruction will come upon them, as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape. Did you catch that? When they say peace and safety. Now, I have a job tonight. It's to tell you the truth. Trump's plan is brilliant, but Yahweh's plan is eternal. Many of you watching me don't know that plan. I'd like to tell it to you if I may. I wrote a book a few months back that everyone should have. It's free of charge. All of our booklets are free of charge. And in that booklet, I showed our readers, the name of the booklet is Creation Time Restored. Man has been given 6,000 years. Those 6,000 years are almost over with. Now, if you would like to find our books, just go to hiscomingkingdom.com. Go to hiscomingkingdom.com and scroll down until you find ebooks and audiobooks and literature. Click on it. And there you'll find Creation Time Restored. Click on that book and you can download it, print it, or read it right here on your screen. Now, why am I encouraging you to read this book? Because without an understanding of prophetic time, you will not realize what this deal means for prophetic time. According to my understanding, there are 10 years left. Not before the coming of the Lord. We do not set those kind of dates. And not before the end of the world. We don't set those kind of dates. But there is 10 years left until the end of the age. The age of man, 6,000 years, will come to an end. You cannot stop it. It's like sand through an hourglass. It's going to run out. And there is a set time when it does run out. What does that mean? I don't know. But I do know that the end of the 6,000 years is a decade away. Now, some of you may be a little confused by that because the Jewish people on the Hebrew calendar still show another 100 years before the end of the 6,000 years. But they will confess to you that there was lost years in their calendar. And my book, Creation Time Restored, will show you those lost years. Now, what does this have to do with Donald Trump? Everything. Let's think about it. 2016, God raises Donald Trump up for a pivotal reason: to prepare the Abrahamic Accords, to get those nations ready for the end time. In 2020, an election was stolen that Yahweh allowed. It was then that I told you the lion will roar in 24 and the eagle will soar. Donald Trump returned as the last Trump. When Donald Trump overcame an assassin's bullet and lawfare and every other thing imaginable against him, it was all for a specific purpose. The first thing Donald Trump did when he returned to office was stop 2 nuclear wars: Pakistan and India, Iran and Israel. Donald Trump stopped those wars because it is not time yet for the end of the age. Now, we do know, according to Matthew chapter 24, that it will be a third world war that brings on the return of Christ. However, it's not time yet. Why is it not time? Because Germany is a major player in that last world war. They have started all world wars. They started World War I and World War II. They will start World War III. But they don't have that ready yet. They're making it ready as we speak. Now, before all of that can happen, the Bible talks about the nations known in the north, and that's Russia and China. And these two nations have been adversaries, but when Donald Trump returned, he made them friends immediately against Germany. Now, and against the United Nations, or against European nations. Donald Trump has done all of this. If you're a subscriber to my blog, there is one blog that will explain how he has repositioned all the nations of the world, preparing the stage for what is to come. And if you're not a subscriber to my daily blog, you can click right there, subscribe free of charge. Now, we come to this peace deal, and everyone is afraid that now it's time for the coming of the Lord, because now they're crying peace and safety. Not so fast. No one is crying peace and safety until phase 3. Phase 3 will be at the end of 2027, towards the very end of the Trump presidency, when he will declare from the Oval Office, there is peace and safety in the Holy Land. That is when the peace and safety will come into force. That is when we must prepare, because it is then that which, as Trump is leaving office, that sudden destruction will come not only on Jerusalem, but upon the hills of Israel, which is the United States of America and Great Britain, when all the nations will turn against the land of Israel and America, the people of Israel. So remember, tonight, there is no peace and safety. No one is crying peace and safety yet. There's 24 months before that happens. Now remember the context here. 1 Thessalonians 5 and 6 and 1 through 6 is talking about the beginning of the millennial reign, the 7,000th year. At the beginning of that is when someone must create peace and safety. But the Apostle Paul says about me and you, brethren, we're not in darkness, that this day would overtake us as a thief. We are children of light. The world will be caught off guard, but we need not be. And I'm teaching you tonight, don't worry. We're not in the time of peace and safety right now. We're in the precursor. If the plan goes according to plan, then there will be peace and safety. Now, when you read the book of Ezekiel 38, it says that Israel will be dwelling safely in unwalled cities before this massive northern invasion. That's not happened yet. They're not at peace yet. Revelation chapter 6 describes the very same thing. So tonight, I encourage you. We don't live in fear. We don't live in panic. We don't run around like the sky is falling. Paul said believers are not in darkness. We watch. We stay sober. We cry out, watchmen, what of the night? We don't go to sleep. We know what time it is. We use this moment for the stirring of the nations. Now listen to me carefully. I'm telling you to celebrate Trump's peace deal, because without it, we won't have that grand celebration of the coming of the Lord. Celebrate it, but stay awake. The peace deal is not evil. The peace deal is part of a plan much bigger than Donald Trump. When the entire world is talking about peace and safety in the Middle East, when that finally happens, that will be your sign to look up, because redemption draweth nigh. There will be many doomsayers out there tonight, many prophets that will tell you all about doom and gloom that's about to come. But they're missing something very vital. No one is crying peace and safety right now. Yes, tribulation is coming up on the world. World War III is not far in front of us. Destruction is on the horizon, yes. The world will experience unprecedented darkness. No, you will not be raptured out of it. You will be protected through it. Yahweh has never raptured his people. He has always protected them. You can follow the example all the way back to Egypt. When he poured out his wrath on the earth, he protected his people. Don't fear the darkness. Don't fear the war, because the darkness precedes the dawn. The tribulation is not the end. It's the birth pain. The destruction that's coming is not random. It's on purpose. Yahweh is cleansing the earth, judging the nations, removing the wicked, preparing the planet for the kingdom of Yahweh. So before you get scared of peace and safety, and before you spend one sleepless night, I would like to read you the words of John the Revelator, Revelation 21:1. I saw a new heaven and a new earth, for the first heaven and the first earth were passed away, and Yahweh will wipe all tears from their eyes. There'll be no more death. There'll be no more sorrow, no more crying. There'll be no more pain, for the former things are passed away. This is our hope. This is our confidence. This is why we watch without fear. We're not waiting for escape. We're waiting for victory. And here is what we know. This is the greatest hour that mankind has ever lived in. This is the season of the watchman on the wall. The time when those who know the word can observe the world and cry out with a warning and with a hope. We can declare that yes, there will be a peace plan. Yes, destruction will follow. But yes, protection is promised to the faithful. And the kingdom of Yahweh will reign forever and ever. Get ready. Stay faithful. Keep watching. The greatest story ever told is reaching its climax. And you have a front row seat. Thank you for watching. Share it. God bless you. May God bless the United States of America.
I ask not for riches. I ask not for fame. I ask for the nation in Jesus' name. I ask for America. I call her by name. I present her to the Father in Jesus' name. I ask for America. I call her by name. I present her to the Father in Jesus' name. With the congregation sing, I ask for America. I ask for America. I call her by name. I present her to the Father in Jesus' name. I ask for America. I call her by name. I present her